Okay, this sample is stitching a double-ended dart. This is where we have a dart point at the top and the bottom of the garment. Okay, and then in the center of the dart is where the excess gets taken up the most, slowly tapering from the center out towards that dart point and the other dart point. You should have points already on a sample piece that is 6 inches by 9 inches. Right now I'm just going to, for this example, go ahead and draw in the lines, well, if my pen would work, of what we're trying to actually stitch here. You would not draw this on a garment piece because you don't want any excess markings left behind. And you certainly wouldn't want to be doing it with a ballpoint ink pen. We know those don't always come out in the wash. But here is my double-ended dart. The way we're going to fold this is the fold line passing through the top and bottom dart points. So I go to pick this up right here. This one was a little bit off, and I can adjust that by lifting it up. Now then, on that fold line and those dart points, that was just a little off too, right there, go ahead and insert a pin this way, and then one over here at this end. And if you've got them lined up and everything's been marked correctly, you have the dart point in the center here. In some darts, they may be a lot longer than your sample. You may have more than one dart that helps you align maybe the middle, somewhere partway out here to there. Once I set that next pin right at that dart point, I can flip it over to see if my pin is passing close enough to that other dart point on the back side, and it is, so I'm happy with that. Now, the trick to doing these to eliminate any bulk that comes at the dart point, because we don't want the back stitch happening right there, I sew it in 2 steps. Starting out here, I stitch out here just like we would stitch the single dart off the end of the folded edge at that dart point, moving the needle back into the excess to do my back stitch. Then I would reverse the whole item and complete the dart that direction. So let's take a moment to go over here and do that. And I go ahead and use my hand wheel turning towards me to insert the needle right there in the middle spot. And right up here I don't worry about back stitching because the next time I start over I can go over the top of that stitching to help secure it. As I come close to my dart point, I'm going to remove my pin, stitch off my edge just slightly, lift my presser foot, it releases the tension, pull towards the back the way that the fabric would feed, and then you'd get the least amount of resistance from your thread, and insert the needle in your dart excess, not outside the dart, and go ahead and do the back stitch. There we go. Okay, see how that excess, the zigzag or back stitch is there. Now I flip it over. I'm a little bit off that line, but I think overall it'll work okay. You would want to be sure you're not too far off. And right up here, now I can do my back stitch through all my layers of stitching to secure it in off this edge. And you want a nice slow taper out to your dart point. You don't want to stitch too far or in a straight line and then at the last second dive off the edge of the fabric. Then you have a very strange looking shaped dart. Okay, it needs to be a slow taper out to the end. Now then you clean up your thread tails. And then same thing over here. Now depending on how much of the dart excess is being taken up, sometimes you may have to clip right there. Let's go ahead and go over to the pressing table. Then you will press so that you set your stitches, but don't press a crease past your dart points. And these two follow the rule as far as pressing towards center front or center back. You don't see these very often in the horizontal manner. You will see them though in the vertical, up and down on the body. All right, once I've pressed from one side, I like to press from the other. Okay, these usually take the excess of fabric up from, let's say, a bust point, taking the most out of the hip or waist, and then dipping back out or angling back out towards the hip. Okay, we will practice that in our dress. Go ahead and do both darts. Take a photograph for me from this angle, and then a photograph also from this direction.